And welcome back to Inside IU East Sports. It's time to recap the IU East men's soccer season. Here to do that, Dumi Kumwenda from the IU East men's soccer team. So Dumi, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Kyle.
Okay. So before we get into the season, let's talk about your journey to IU East first. And your journey here was longer than most. You're from Blantyre, Malawi, and you also had a stop for 1 year at a Louisiana State regional campus. So starting from Malawi, if you could take us on your journey, how you realized that IU East would be a good fit for the remaining 3 years of your college career.
Well, as you know, I came from Blantyre, Malawi. I actually went, as you said, first to Louisiana State University at Alexandria. I had a good soccer season there first year, freshman year, but I just felt like it wasn't my best suit, the best place like that I wanted to be. So then when my mom came over, well, we had a conversation, and she said, if you're looking to go anywhere else, we'll support you and everything. So I started having a look and found IU East, and I found like it'd be a good fit, new program, something we could be able to build something here. So I decided to transfer here, contacted Steve, and he was curious to get to know me and know more about where I'm from and everything. And once we started talking, having proper conversation, we then eventually led to on a move there and just progressed from there. So.
It's definitely been great for IU East as well. So,
thank you.
And soccer-wise, just how long have you been playing? How long have you been a soccer athlete?
I've been a soccer athlete for as long as I can remember, but I did play a lot of rugby as well. So, had a few concussions, so couldn't really progress with it the way I would have wanted to. Then that maybe allowed me to focus more on soccer, and that's when I was actually planning on. The original plan was for me to go to the UK. That was what I was set for most of my life. But then once my brother came here, he came here for soccer as well, for college soccer. He persuaded me that this is a good place to be, like the States, a lot of opportunities, and actually ended up here. So I've been playing for quite a while and just grew to love it, and yeah.
When did you realize you were pretty good at it? Were you always have a sense that you were one of the better ones on the field, or late bloomer, or when did you realize you were pretty good at this thing?
I'd say it wasn't until later on that I really knew I was good, but because when I was younger, I just relied a lot on my pace. I was much bigger than most of my friends, so I could just bully my way through, pass the ball, and pass them. So it wasn't until roughly my freshman year of high school where I started making a few appearances for the senior team, which was a big thing back then because we had 7 years of high school. So being a freshman, that was a big deal to me, and that's when I realized, okay, I could actually make something of this, and yeah.
So let's talk about the season that just ended. Finished 10-10, kind of a tough start to the season, but you guys really came together down the stretch. Won 7 matches in a row, advanced to the semifinals of the conference tournament, and the only team that beat us in October was the team ranked number 1 in the country, which was Rio Grande. Talk about just what changed. Just how did you guys keep it together to be able to regroup and have such a strong finish?
Yeah, well, this season was quite different. A lot of new faces. So it took us a while just to pick up momentum and find the groove of things because there are a lot of new people who we had to learn how to play with, and a lot of injuries caused us to lose a lot of players, and a few people still battling with eligibility issues. So it was kind of tough having limited substitutes to make and just playing full 90-minute games. It was hard for us because teams were rolling on and off. So I think once we start picking up a few more players start coming back from injury, and we had seniors this year, so we had a lot to play for. We knew what we were playing for compared to last year. We only had a handful of upperclassmen, so everyone knew we've got a few more years to get better, and no one really expects anything from us. But this year we had seniors, and they actually wanted to try to win something, win the conference this year. Unfortunately, it didn't go that way, but I feel like we really had a lot to play for this year. And once we start picking up momentum after that 7-game losing streak, things just started getting better. We started enjoying the feeling of winning, and we just picked it up, and things got better from there.
Now, in that 7-game winning streak, a school record, are there any of those wins in particular that stand out in your mind as a favorite win?
The game against Carlo, that stood out for me. I had a nice half volley shot. Probably I don't score many goals, so just a memorable one for me being in play rather than a penalty kick or just a corner. It was actually something that when I hit the ball, I felt some sense of satisfaction that I actually achieved something for the first time rather than just placing the ball down and just 1v1. So that was a memorable moment for me, and I'll say, to be honest, all the games, all the moments we had were memorable. Like, as I said, just that feeling of actually winning games. Once you start picking up momentum and winning games, you just start feeling great. Practices were getting better. Everyone was having a good time. I just felt like, yeah, that 7-game win streak was all memorable.
And in retrospect, needed every last one of them. If any of them had been a loss, wouldn't have been able to qualify for the postseason, so they were all big. Start to talk about your role a little bit. You say you don't score much, but you do a lot. You were the newcomer of the year for the entire conference last year, and then you repeated as an all-conference selection. Those awards came out this past weekend. If you could describe for our fans, maybe that haven't seen our soccer team play, talk about your role on the Red Wolf team.
Oh, well, I'm a defensive player, so second last line of defense just in front of the goalkeeper. My job is simply prevent goals, and I just try to do that to the best of my ability. As I said, I've got quite a lot of pace on me. I'm not the weakest as well, so that kind of helps me with my game. Strikers can't really hit the ball past me or try to shoot it away from me. I'll eventually just try to sneak up on them and find a way to get the ball. And I just feel like, okay.
Yeah. Well, I've always been curious, just as a defender, how do you judge yourself on how you play well? Because I'm a stats guy, so if I see your name on the stat sheet, there's a pretty good chance it's going to have 90 minutes played but no stats. But you can still play great without having any stats. In your mind, just how do you judge yourself on on whether you had a good match or not?
Yeah, that's true, because stats don't really tell you the whole story of what happened during the game, because you really only get stats if you score, assist, and being a defensive player, you don't really get stats that show like how many goals you managed to prevent and the tackles you made. That doesn't really show up. You don't get points for that. So you're not really recognized. Like, you have to understand that as a defensive player, you won't really get a lot of the spotlight or recognition, because that's usually an attacker's job. Once they score, once they get assists, they're the ones who really get points, and they appear with higher score points at the end of the year and everything. So you just have to make that sacrifice that you might not receive all the glory, but you know that your team heavily relies on you, and as long as I feel like I perform pretty well doing that, I'm not really looking to be in the spotlight or anything. Just as long as I prevent goals and do my job and everyone else does their job, then I'm happy. So.
Now, there is one situation you've been in the spotlight for us a lot the last couple of years. That's on penalty kicks. You've been kind of our designated penalty kick person for the last couple of years. I know you don't want to give away your secrets in case any opposing goalkeepers are watching, but your mindset on those, or what makes you effective on those PKs?
I just feel like I don't really play with a lot of pressure. Once I place the ball down, nerves will come for a few seconds, but I know what I'm capable of, so I just either think of a spot in my head and go that way, or judge the keeper, and I guess it always works. It's always one or the other, but the ball always ends up in the back of the net. So.
Okay, hopefully we're not jinxing it. And one thing I got to ask, you're now known for doing a flip after all those made PKs. When did you start doing that?
I actually learned how to do that when I was playing rugby. We scored a try. So in rugby, when you score, kind of like football. And I just ran one day and did a cartwheel, and next thing I knew, I was in the air. And I tried it a few more times after that. I'll say 3 out of 5 I completed them, and just continued practicing and continued doing it, and eventually just came naturally to me. The higher I did the side spring, the higher I got up, and that was,
And I'm always impressed, not only the fact you can do it, but usually you're doing it after running up and down the field for 45 minutes. So the fact that you've got enough spring in your legs, I always enjoy it, and usually it's always a good thing because it means you just made a goal.
Thank you.
Well, let's turn to the classroom. Academics-wise, you're a business management major with a focus on information systems. Any particular favorite classes or favorite professors in your experience here at IU East?
So far, I'm enjoying all my classes, especially because I'm actually concentrating in information systems, as you said. So everything to really do with IT, I really enjoy, because technology is developing every day. So I just like to keep up to date with it and just progress that way. I've been on the dean's list every semester that I've been here, so I'd say my grades are pretty decent in the honors program as well. Recently just joined the Delta Mu Delta
the Honor Society,
yeah. So that's something I'm also doing, just keep myself busy, just getting active around school. So.
Okay. Yeah. And what kind of career or post-graduation hopes are you hoping this kind of degree leads you to?
Hopefully something in the IT industry. I'm looking more towards IT management type of thing, where I don't really want to be stuck behind doing a desk job. I want to be more mobile. like be able to move and stuff like cybersecurity, banking security. That's really a market that hasn't been exploited back home. So if I do look in that path, that's really something I really have a passion for, because people back home aren't really aware of what they have at risk. So kind of just promoting technology and security back there would be a good starting point as well.
Sounds like a good opportunity. So anything else, Dumi, anything else about the season that just completed that you'd like to tell our fans about?
Nothing really, but as I said, this is the first season where we actually had seniors. So to Gaston, Nate Gunther, and Kevin, we'd just like to say thank you on behalf of myself and the team. You know, Gaston didn't play a few of the games at the beginning, so when he came back, he was a big impact. The same with Kevin. He was still going battling with the NAIA about a few things eligibility-wise. So once he got cleared, then they were a big impact. Nate was a big impact from the beginning of the season. So just the efforts not go unrecognized, and just like to thank them, wish them the best in the future.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we'd like to thank you for joining us as well on this week's episode of Inside IU East Sports. I'm Kyle Wright with the IU East Athletic Department, and we look forward to seeing you next time.